Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen and other commissioners reach India. They'll hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday in Delhi. The Kremlin says no quick and easy decisions on Russia-US ties can be expected. Asserts annexed Ukrainian territory is non-negotiable. Ahead of his meeting with US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer says there's no more important relationship for his country than that with the US. And Hollywood mourns as two-time Oscar awardee Gene Hackman and his pianist wife Betsy Arakawa are found dead in their Santa Fe home along with their dog. First up, elevating the India-EU multifaceted partnership to new heights, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has arrived in New Delhi on Thursday afternoon for the first visit of the EU College of Commissioners to India. During the visit, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President von der Leyen will hold delegation-level talks, likely covering the proposed India-EU free trade agreement, security cooperation and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Discussions will also focus on expanding the India-EU strategic partnership to new areas like defence technology and energy cooperation. Upon her arrival, EU Commission President in a social media post wrote, and I quote, "In an era of conflict and intense competition, you need trusted friends. For Europe, India is such a friend and a strategic ally," end quote. She also added that she would discuss with Prime Minister Modi ways and means to take India-EU strategic partnership to the next level. And Ursula von der Leyen started her India visit by paying homage to Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, at Rajghat. And for more on this, we're joined by DD India's Jessica Tareja. Well, hi Jessica, tell us more about the significance of this visit considering what's happening with Ukraine, Gaza and Donald Trump's tariff war. What's on the agenda?
Well, lots on the agenda as Ursula von der Leyen has now reached New Delhi, and the ceremonial visit now begins along with the bilateral visit, the component where she will hold talks with the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, and also the 21 commissioners visiting will also be meeting their counterparts tomorrow. So lots on the agenda in terms of, as you had highlighted earlier in that news report as well, when it comes to the India-EU FTA, along with enhancement of cooperation when it comes to defence tech and other key areas, and not just limiting it to defence and security, but also looking into the second phase perhaps of the TTC, or the Trade and Technology Council, and also laying the roadmap ahead for the India-EU relations and what all could be seen in terms of also space cooperation. But this particular visit is significant in a sense where Ursula von der Leyen, along with her 21 commissioners, are keen on increasing investments in India and also increasing the bilateral trade as well, which has seen an uptick in the recent past. So lots to see, and also lay the groundwork for the India-EU summit. There will be discussions held on the current peace talks that are being initiated by the United States and Saudi Arabia. There will be discussions with the Indian counterparts as well, and as to the role and what all is being done in terms of that peace deal, because you'd recall the Prime Minister visited both Russia and Ukraine, and this we're given to understand will also be discussed, especially what comes out of Riyadh. Apart from that, yes, the situation remains tense in Gaza with the fragile ceasefire, so that also could surface of the talks. But the India-Middle East European corridor, economic corridor, is also something we could expect to be discussed in this visit. So a lot that has been planned for the two sides. as they here on a two-day visit to India, a crucial one at that.
Yes, quite an unprecedented visit. All the College of Commissioners here, along with the EU Commission President. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Jessica. Now, moving on, a Russian delegation arrived on Thursday at the residence of the US Consul General in Istanbul for Russia-US talks on resolving disputes over the work of their embassies in Washington and Moscow. The US delegation is led by Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Sonata Kulta, while the Russian delegation is being led by Alexander Darshiev, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs Director of the North Atlantic Department and also Russia's ambassador designate for the US. The Kremlin said on Thursday that it believes dialogue with the United States should move forward as long as there's political will on both sides and a readiness to listen to each other, but said nobody expected quick and easy solutions.
No one expects solutions to come easily and quickly. The problem at hand is too complex and neglected. But with the two countries' political will, with a willingness to hear and listen to each other, I think we will be able to get through this working process.
And British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet US President Donald Trump on Thursday. Ahead of that meeting, Starmer has stressed that there's no more important relationship for the United Kingdom than the one with Washington. He said this at a meeting with business leaders at the residence of British Ambassador to the US.
We are reforming permitting, getting things built, reducing barriers to investment and growth, and we're open for business, open for investment, and we're determined to help US innovators thrive in the United Kingdom. So my message is we want to work with you, we want to welcome you to Britain, we want a new partnership, because our history shows that when we work together, great things happen.
And on the issue of peace in Ukraine, Starmer has urged the US to provide a security backstop to any future European peacekeepers in Ukraine, saying only that would offer Kyiv a lasting peace rather than a temporary ceasefire. Starmer will also be hosting Zelensky, Macron and other European leaders in Britain on Sunday as momentum gathers. With Britain and France proposing peacekeepers, the shape of a possible deal has begun to emerge, but now it will be up to Moscow and Washington to seal it. And Donald Trump has said that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be visiting Washington on Friday to sign an agreement on rare earth minerals and other topics and to discuss future aid with the US.
President Zelensky is going to be coming on Friday. That's now confirmed, and we're going to be signing an agreement, which will be a very big agreement. And I want to thank Howard and Scott for the job you guys did in putting it together. Really did an amazing job. And that'll be on rare earth and other things.
Though Trump said that the US will not be making security guarantees for Ukraine, but that Europe would, he also added that Russia would also make some concessions for a peaceful deal with the Ukraine.
Well, I'm not going to make security guarantees beyond very much. We're going to have Europe do that because it's in, we're talking about Europe as their next door neighbor. Yeah, he will. He's going to have to. And I believe that because we got elected, that war will come to an end.
And on his part, Zelensky said that the revenues from the resources deal would be deposited in a fund co-owned by Ukraine and the US, and that Kyiv would not be a debtor over aid provided under the Biden administration. Now, staying with the US, Donald Trump has announced a forthcoming 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. In response, the European Commission has vowed to counteract these unfair trade barriers, emphasizing its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers. Take a look.
On Wednesday, US President Donald Trump announced that his administration would soon implement a 25% tariff on imports from the European Union. In response, the European Commission vowed to take immediate action against unfair trade barriers and tariffs that challenge legitimate policies.
We have made a decision. We'll be announcing it very soon, and it'll be 25%, generally speaking, and that'll be on cars and all other things. And European Union is a different case than Canada, different kind of case. They've really taken advantage of us in a different way.
The EU reaffirmed its commitment to protecting European businesses, workers and consumers from unjustified tariffs.
Donald
Trump should look at the history of his own country. Custom duties have already been applied on a number of products from the European Union, and in reality, it had a very negative impact on both employment and the productivity of its own companies in Europe, but also of its own companies in the United States. So no one wins in this trade war. But if we had to respond, we will obviously respond.
The EU has a 10% tariff on passenger cars, 4 times the rate of the US passenger car tariff of 2.5%. US officials have also raised concerns about European value-added taxes, which start at 17.5%. Meanwhile, Trump raised hopes for another month-long pause on steep new tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada, saying they could take effect on April 2nd. However, the White House confirmed that the March 4th deadline for 25% tariffs remains in place, subject to Trump's review of border security measures and efforts to curb migration and fentanyl trafficking. Canadian Innovation Minister Francois Philippe Champagne stated that Canada will wait for Trump's signed executive orders before responding, while Mexico's economy minister declined to comment but announced that Minister Marcelo Ebrard will meet U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Thursday. Kajal's report for DD India.
Now, the Hamas has handed over the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages to the Red Cross in Gaza on early Thursday, marking the final exchange under the Gaza truce. That is the first phase. The 4 hostages, previously identified by the Hamas as Tashi Idan, Itzhak El-Garad, Ohad Yahalomi and Shlomo Mansour, were abducted during the Hamas's 7th of October attack last year. The remains were now undergoing initial identification at a forensic center in Tel Aviv. Now, the ceasefire, which came into effect on the 19th of last month, has largely held despite numerous setbacks. But its first phase is due to end this week, and the fate of its next phase, which aims to end the conflict, remains unclear. Earlier on Thursday, Hamas indicated that it was ready to start talks on the second phase, adding that the only way remaining hostages would be freed is through commitment to the ceasefire. Meanwhile, buses carrying released Palestinian prisoners from Israeli prisons arrived in Gaza's Khan Yunis on early Thursday, days after Israel had originally refused to release them. Israel refused to release the prisoners on Saturday after the Hamas handed over 6 hostages in a staged ceremony. And this handover was a significant step as it completed the first phase of the ceasefire agreement, which involved the release of 33 hostages in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and the withdrawal of Israeli troops from some positions in Gaza, as well as an influx of aid. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. Amazon has introduced an AI-enhanced Alexa Plus after delays. Senior VP Panos Panay described it as a know-it-all sidekick trained in EQ and humor. CEO Andy Jassy emphasized its generative AI improvements. Alexa Plus is all set to launch in March. Initially free for Prime members, it will later cost $19.99 per month. It can respond to multiple prompts and recognize emotional cues, aiming to enhance user interactions. In 2024, Japan recorded its 9th consecutive year of declining births, with around 700,000 plus babies born, down 5% from 2023. The government's measures have failed to reverse the trend. With 1.62 million deaths, more than 2 people die for every new baby being born in Japan. The COVID-19 pandemic's impact on marriage marriages has contributed to the decline. Meanwhile, its neighbor South Korea has showed a slight improvement in the fertility rate for 2024. And Kilauea volcano in Hawaii erupted again on Wednesday, with the lava fountain soaring up to 600 feet. Since December 2024, volcanic activity has been confined to the Kaluapele caldera at the summit, sparing populated areas. The latest eruption lasted about 12 hours before pausing. The island is situated roughly 200 miles southeast of Hawaii's capital, Honolulu. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Former NASA astronaut praises India's space journey on a visit to a Delhi government school. And Swedish home furnishing conglomerate Ikea sets sights on North India for business expansion. Online deliveries to begin from the 1st of March. What do you make of how India is dealing with the AI landscape right now? It has an AI mission, so it wants to develop AI to the kind of advantages that it can deliver, and also at the same time, it is in the process of working out an AI law.
It's a matter for India it's a sovereign decision for India to determine which approach it takes, whether it takes the regulation-free model or believes that there are risks inherent in AI and that they need to be mitigated and society needs to be protected from those.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live and I'm Gautam Roy. Now, India's space dream is making waves globally. Former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino has visited a Kendriya Vidyalaya, or a government school in Delhi, sharing his incredible journey beyond Earth. He praised India's space journey, highlighting how the Chandrayaan mission was a headline in the US. He also said that India looked great from space, and from here also it looks incredible.
It's wonderful. They made me feel so welcome. And I just arrived here. I think they arranged it very quickly, which amazes me that we were able to do this on short notice. But no, it is great. The students were very polite, had some great questions. The whole school, very welcoming. They just made me feel very welcome. And I think the enthusiasm, not just for the space program, but for the STEM fields here, I think that's really, really important. It's always been important to me, and so it's great to see it in work here. And the school just seems wonderful. The students, it couldn't be nicer, and everyone is so nice. So I was so happy I had a chance to come visit. Great. India has a lot to offer. You know, I'm familiar with a lot of the students, people I've worked with at NASA, and a lot of the students that we have in the United States are very hardworking, very smart. I'm really glad to see the advances that they've made in the space program. Chandrayaan mission was amazing. It created a lot of excitement, not just here, but in the United States as well. I admired it from space when I flew over, and I'm glad I'm on the ground here getting a chance to see it. But people are just lovely, so nice, so welcoming, very nice. And I'm interested in taking a look around and seeing more. This is my first time here.
Former US House Chief Administrative Officer Scott Faulkner visited the Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya in New Delhi. He explored several attractions in the museum. Pradhan Mantri Sangrahalaya is a museum in tribute to all former Prime Ministers. Faulkner said that India's Prime Minister Modi is one of the top leaders in the world and is an inspiration to others. He added that there should be more museums like this across the world.
He's one of the great leaders of the world right now. I mean, when you start to look around at other heads of state, you know, he is definitely one of the top. Definitely one of the top. Again, an inspiration to others who are also trying to grapple with similar issues in their parts of the world. So very much an inspiration. This museum's an inspiration, and it should be shared far and wide. India is certainly looking at the cutting edge of how do we take the mid-21st century with the technology, with the needs of people, and pull them all together. So I think you're becoming a leader in the world. I mean, certainly you hosted the G20 a couple years ago. You are the largest country. You're becoming an economic powerhouse. You're a great counterbalance to less democratic places like China, and is therefore you're a key part to what the future of this world is all about. And a place like this museum gives us these kind of pieces to take to other people.
The former US official also visited a newly constructed Parliament building. He said that he was highly impressed with the state-of-the-art architecture and technology of the newly constructed building.
So I was very impressed with the overall architecture and also really enjoyed learning about how your parliament functions in terms of where the majority minority sit and when the Prime Minister speaks, having to deal with so many languages and simultaneous translation and the fully automated document system. Those were all things that we could all learn from.
Global home furnishings giant Ikea has announced its entry into North India with the launch of online deliveries in Delhi NCR and 9 satellite cities starting the 1st of March this year. Customers in Agra, Prayagraj, Amritsar, Chandigarh, Varanasi and various other Indian cities will now have access to 7,000 plus affordable products via the Ikea app, website and phone assistance. The move will boost employment in all sectors of production, including agricultural and craft, as well as distribution. The launch was announced at the Swedish Embassy in New Delhi. The Swedish ambassador, Jan Terslef, welcoming the Ikea entry in Indian market, said that to encourage the launch rather than the North Indian market, he will refurbish his embassy with all products from Ikea.
I must say I had a meeting with my staff this morning and at least we have a plan now to refurbish and refurnish the whole embassy with IKEA things. Now when we can order them online. Delhi Wallon, the wait is over. From 1st of March, you will be able to order online from the comfort of your homes.
We started our retail journey around 6-7 years back with opening Hyderabad, the Mumbai market and Bangalore. And after that, we have prepared our presence up in the north with opening a logistics center together with our partner Renus in south of Gurgaon. And that will help us to supply with all the services to the customer and consumers up in the north. We are really happy to be here.
And during a recent visit, Alexei Ruskiki, Governor of Ulyanovsk in Russia, has highlighted the key areas of humanitarian cooperation between India and the development of educational initiatives. Take a look.
The interaction between Russia and India within the BRICS framework opens up wide opportunities for both countries. Among them are the strengthening of cultural ties through joint events and the development of educational initiatives, the creation of business projects and startups to stimulate economic growth and solve social and environmental problems through volunteer projects, as well as the active participation of young people in political process and discussions of important issues, exchange of experience in the field of technology and innovation. The role of the BRICS alliance is growing every day. The involvement of the youth of the BRICS member countries in positive global changes is also growing. Young leaders from India are involved in events organized by the Russia BRICS International Youth Cooperation Project Office.
Next month, Princess Astrid will lead the Belgium economic mission aiming to deepen trade relations between the two nations. Belgium's ambassador to India, Dieder van der Hasselt, told DD India's Jessica Taneja that she will be accompanied by 330 delegates along with more than 80 companies.
Tell us about this economic mission and why at this time.
Well, indeed. So we have this Belgian economic mission led by Her Royal Highness Princess Astrid coming to India. I think it's a very significant mission. 330 delegates, 3 ministers or deputy prime ministers joining, Minister of Defense, Minister President of Flanders. More than 180 companies are joining. Of course, these are the kind of missions that have been prepared for months, but I think apart from that, the timing couldn't be better. We are coming here just a few days after the European Commission comes in its entirety to India. It's a historic visit, I think. We come with one of the biggest delegations to India, so the significance is quite important. We have indeed this long history of bilateral relations and economic partnerships. We see that our trade is diversifying, that our companies are investing more and more here, that also more and more Indian companies are interested to invest in Belgium. So it's difficult to underestimate this mission. And I think indeed the timing is quite important. We are one of the most open economies in the world. We have free trade in our veins. And so we are in favor of a rules-based, multilateral free trade environment. And so that's of course why we as a country support the European Commission 100% in these negotiations on a free trade agreement with India. The potential that this free trade agreement would give to EU-India trade and to Belgian-India trade is really immense and is significant. So we are very supportive of the European Commission when it comes to these negotiations.
And in sad and tragic news, just 4 days before the Oscars, two-time Academy Award winner Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa have been found dead in their home in the U.S. state of New Mexico. According to the sheriff's office in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Gene Hackman, the intense character actor who won 2 Oscars in a more than 60-year career, has died alongside his wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, and the dog at home. Hackman, a former Marine known for his raspy voice, appeared in more than 80 films, as well as on television and the stage, during a lengthy career that started in the early 60s. Hackman was an intense character actor who won Academy Awards for the violent 1971 drug saga, The French Connection, and the 1992 Western, Unforgiven. May he rest in peace. Now, that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen, download the app right now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.